14. Marguerite d'Alvarez. The message of the singer. A great podium backed with green, reminding one of a forest of palms, dim lights through the vast auditorium, a majestic, black-robed figure standing alone among the palms, pouring out her voice in song, a voice at once vibrant, appealing, powerful. Filled now with sweeping passion, again with melting tenderness, such was the stage setting for my first impression of Madame Marguerite d'Alvarez, and such were some of the emotions she conveyed. Soon after this experience, I asked if I might have a personal talk with the artist whose singing had made such a deep impression upon me. It was most graciously granted, and at the appointed hour I found myself in a charmingly appointed, yet very home-like salon, chatting with this Spanish lady from Peru, who speaks such beautiful English and is courtesy itself. This time it was not a somber, black-robed figure who came forward so graciously to greet me, for above a black satin walking skirt, Madame had added a blouse of soft creamy lace, which revealed the rounded curves of neck and arms, the only ornament being a string of pearls about the full throat. Later in our talk, I ventured to express my preference for creamy draperies instead of black for the concert room, but the singer thought otherwise. "No," she said, "my gown must be absolutely unobtrusive, negative. I must not use it to heighten effect or to attract the audience to me personally. People must be drawn to me by what I express, by my art, by what I have to give them." But to begin at the beginning. In answer to my first question, what must one do to become a singer? Madame said, "To become a singer, one must have a voice that is of the first importance. In handling and training that voice, breathing is perhaps the most vital thing to be considered. To some, breath control seems to be second nature, others must toil for it. With me it is intuition. It has always been natural. Breathing is such an individual thing. With each person it is different, for no two people breathe in just the same way, whether natural or acquired. Just as one pianist touches the keys of the instrument in his own peculiar way, unlike the ways of all other pianists. For instance, no two singers will deliver the opening phrase of "My heart at thy sweet voice" from Samson in exactly the same way. One will expend a little more breath on some tones than on others. One may sing it softer, another louder. Indeed, how can two people ever give out a phrase in the same way, when they each feel it differently? The great thing is to control the management of the breath through intelligent study. But alas, with a pretty little deprecating gesture, many singers do not seem to use their intelligence in the right way. They need to study so many things besides vocalizes and a few songs. They ought to broaden themselves in every way. They should know books, pictures, sculpture, acting, architecture, in short, everything possible in the line of art and of life. For all these things will help them to sing more intelligently. They should cultivate all these means of self-expression. For myself, I have had a liberal education in music, piano, harmony, theory, composition, and kindred subjects. And then I love and study art in all its forms and manifestations. "Your first recital in New York was a rich and varied feast," I remarked. "Indeed, I feel I gave the audience too much. There was such a weight of meaning to each song, and so many. I cannot sing indifferent or superficial songs. I must sing those which mean much, either of sadness or mirth, passion or exaltation. No one knows, who has not been through it, what it means to face a great audience of strangers, knowing that something in you must awake those people and draw them toward you. You must bare your very soul to them and bring theirs to you, in answering response, just by your voice. It is a wonderful thing, to bring to masses of people a message in this way. I feel this strongly, whenever I stand before a large audience, that with every note I sing I am delivering something of the God-given gift which has been granted to me, that I can do some good to each one who hears. If they do not care for me, or if they misunderstand my message, they may hate me at first. When they do understand, then they adore me." Sentiment versus temperament. You can well believe it is far more difficult to sing a recital program than to do an operatic role. In the recital, you are absolutely alone and entirely responsible for your effect on the audience. You must be able to express every variety of emotion and feeling, must make them realize the difference between sorrow and happiness, revenge or disdain. In short, make them, for the moment, experience these things. The artist who can best vivify these varying emotions must have temperament. On the piano, you may hear players who express sentiment, feeling, fine discrimination in tone, color, and shading, but comparatively few possess real temperament. There is great difference between that quality and sentiment. The one can be learned, to a certain extent, but temperament is one's very life and soul, and is bound to sweep everything before it. Of this one thing I am very sure, the singer cannot express all these emotions without feeling them to the full during performance. I always feel every phrase I sing, live it. That is why, after a long and exhausting program, I am perfectly limp and spent. For I have given all that was in me. Friends of Sarah Bernhardt say that after a performance, they would find her stretched prone on a couch in her dressing room, scarcely able to move or speak. The strain of a public appearance, when one gives one's heart's blood, is beyond words, and Madame's upturned face and expressive gesture denoted how keenly alive she was to this experience. After a little pause, I said, "Let us come down to earth, while you tell me just how you study. No doubt you do some daily technical practice." Massage the voice. Oh, yes, technique is most important. One can do nothing without it. When I begin to study in the morning, I give the voice what I call a massage. One's voice cannot be driven, it must be coaxed, enticed. This massage consists of humming exercises with closed lips. Humming is the sunshine of the voice. The singer illustrated the idea with a short musical figure, consisting of 3 consecutive tones of the diatonic scale, ascending and descending several times. On each repetition, the phrase began on the next higher note of the scale. You see, she continued, this little exercise brings the tone fully forward. As you feel the vibration, it should be directly between the eyes. Now, after you have coaxed the voice forward in this way, and then opened your lips to sing a full tone, this tone should, indeed must, be right in the same place where the humming tones were. It cannot be anywhere else. Madame illustrated again, first humming on one tone, then letting it out with full resonance, using the vowel ah, which melted into o and later changed into u, as the tone died away. This vibration in the voice should not be confounded with a tremolo, which is, of course, very undesirable. A voice without vibrato would be cold and dead, expressionless. There must be this pulsing quality in the tone, which carries waves of feeling on it. Thus the singer entices the voice to come forward and out, never treating it roughly or harshly, never forcing or straining it. Take pleasure in every tone you make. With patience and pleasure much is accomplished. I could not give you a more useful tip than this. Will you tell me how you learn a song? She was asked. I first read over the text and get a good idea of its meaning. When I begin to study the song, I never separate the music from the words, but learn both together. I play the piano, of course, and thus can get a good idea of the accompaniment and of the whole ensemble. I feel so strongly that real art, the highest art, is for those who truly understand it and its mission. A dream of mine is one day to found a school of true art. Everything in the school shall be on a high plane of thought. The instructors shall be gifted themselves and have only lofty ideals. And it will be such a happiness to watch the development of talent which may blossom into genius through having the right nurture. I shall watch this work from a distance, for I might be too anxious if I allowed myself to be in the midst of the work. But this is my dream, and I hope it will one day come true.